Sorry, you are not my competition.
Competition at that point. Do we want the broadsheet to last year's
Well, serendipity, she didn't believe it, you know. I never get public on that. If you stuck it, oh, right. Good icebreakers. No, it was these functions that I've done with getting people really, really engaged sometimes. I think it's
We have everybody here, so good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, roughly how today is going to go, roughly, because you know how roughly it's going to do a little bit now, that'll do in a minute, Stuart's then going to give you an intro into the whole marketing thing. That should take us somewhere close to the morning break. Then after the morning break, I'm going to go through that middle section, the bit we missed out yesterday, i.e. what takes about, well in total, with doing the 20-minute long bloody progressive relaxation.
Sorry, that's my text.
All right. Yeah, policy's odd. Yeah, then we'll cover that middle bit. So by the time it's got the 20-minute progressive relaxation introduction and the actual therapy, it takes 53 minutes. If you do it with the right pauses, it's got dramatic effect and everybody then commands. So we'll cover that before lunch. Obviously it'll take slightly longer than 53 minutes to explain. Then we'll go and have lunch. Hey! And then we will come back and it will be largely marketing orientated, which is the key to the psychology as well, what I said yesterday, but also none of this is any use if you haven't got clients. So that will interrelate, and at some point, more than likely this afternoon's break will be logical. You have various. We haven't actually done the exam yet, but you will have done the exam by shortly after lunchtime. And assuming you pass the said exam, fairly confident you will, you seem fairly sentient, then you will legally be able to use said diplomas. And as we're covering the marketing, well, let's put it this way, there will be Stu's got a pro camera, there's that mural thing out there, when we get the lights on, that's really good for a background photo of being handed the diploma and your hand being shook, which will explain how to monetize that later. It goes back to what I did when I was 14 years old, except I didn't have a photo of anyone shaking my hand and giving it me, I just went in and went, I've got it, I've just done a new. We'll get to that. That should tie everything together pretty much. Obviously, there will still be the odd thing that you go, oh, well, perhaps I might want to do that area, and we haven't covered it, in which case, just ask me at one of the breaks, or email me on Facebook, and I'll tell you exactly which part of the boot camp to go to, so you don't have to spend bloody hours finding the actual bit that you want. Tremendous. So, to begin with,
when do we do the day and a half of rapid inductions?
Day and a half. It's a different course, or you can look at the videos in the. We may cover another couple later. I mean, you can't get more rapid than this. Close your eyes. Just so long as you keep your eyes tightly closed at all times, unless I say otherwise, this will be 100% successful for you. You know, if we're doing TV stuff, well, it depends on the nature of the TV stuff, but therapy stuff, they're not allowed to broadcast the full hypnotic induction on TV or radio, in England anyway. It's different in America, in some places, but so if it's a therapy thing, I won't quite often, just because there's not much time, tell them just to close the bloody eyes. And they don't give you enough time backstage to be doing a 20-minute progressive relaxation induction. If it's more of a stagey type thing, then I will do something where I'm throwing them on the floor or something, just because they film it and they show little clips and it looks a bit more dramatic visually. But that's only really stage relevant, because therapy, you want it to look gentle and caring. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, most of you are at the Royal event anyway, so that's why I haven't bought another one with me, but daft little trick yesterday for smoking and getting them to do homework before they come. Homework after the event for weight management, can work for smoking as well, can work for other things, but particularly for cravings and stuff. It now gets taught generally in CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, but cognitive behavioural therapy, after all, is only a combination of cognitive psychotherapy and behavioural psychotherapy, bits of each lumped together. Some people might get a new course, frankly. Obviously, it's got bits missing from both. But so this predated any of that. Ow, that hurt. And that's the point. But there's a good technique for people with cravings, and that's to give them an elastic band that's ideally tight-fitting on the wrist, and tell them to wear this. You might want to give them a few in case it gets broken, right? And they only cost pennies, so won't be down. And just because it's then part of the ritual, you can tell them towards the end of the session, as well as having this overwhelming desire to, listen to the audio CD every night for the next 28 days, that should they ever have a moment of weakness where they find themselves, for whatever reason, thinking about or craving sugary or fat or whatever their devil's food happen to be, that they will remember this ring of confidence. Now, in NLP they do a thing, ring of confidence, which is in the CMT section, so I'll cover that more later on. But in a similar fashion, we will tell them while they're in trance to, and we've got the question there, so we've got stuff that's personal to them, to think about those wonderful things or the wonderful, what would make them feel fantastic, if they've written down, when I won the lottery and I'm on a sailing ship around the world, doesn't matter, whatever they've written down is the positives. It's called stacking anchors in NLP. Tell them to think of the first one, see it vividly, turn up the colour, turn up the sound, turn up bloody everything, because we haven't bothered finding out what representational system they are, so do them all, because that way you can get the right one in a way that feels right for them, so that it doesn't matter which one they are, they fill in the blanks for themselves, and then tell them, okay, so now just, you might have to pick up the round with their eyes closed, but literally, with their eyes closed, everyone can feel where that is. Trust me, it can be tight enough, but not tight enough it's going to cut the blood off. Tell them to pull the elastic band out slightly and then let go of it, and they will go out, probably. Less likely when they're hypnotised, ironically. But they will feel it, is the point. And that is right, in NLP they would call that anchoring to that feeling of the twang, the positive feeling. And then you tell the next thing we said, or you say, conjure up something yourself. So there's at least say 3 or 4 really good, feel fantastic inside, confident, calm, relaxed, fully in control things, and then twang. So it gets anchored to the twang, the feeling good, being positive, being calm, being relaxed, if that's relevant to what you're treating for. Fully in control is a really good phrase, because pretty much everything's down to people feeling out of control or in control. So it's now anchored to this, so then you can literally tell them that if they should get a craving, all they have to do is twang this, ow, it does hurt, but you tell them they've got to do it so they actually feel it. And that does hurt, but I'll tell you what, it will psychologically, consciously, forget the stacking of anchors, forget whether you believe in any of that, just twanging that on your wrist, can you see the red line there? Just twanging that on your wrist makes you go, what the flipping heck have I just done to myself? Consciously. So in that moment, you are now, they would argue, you've interrupted the pattern of, I want cream cake, or whatever, because you're thinking, what the hell have I just done to myself? Why am I doing this? And arguably, if you believe in it, you've also triggered off the associations of positivity, feeling in control. And often it can be just enough to, that does it, just enough to distract the mind so that that fleeting moment of, I want it, it's gone, and then the person feels more in control. So just, you can invent things. I mean, flipping out, at the Royal event, I did the tapping thing, spectacles, testicles, wallet, watch. Since then, the other day, if you're on the A-listers hypnotherapist Facebook group that Steve Miller runs, he's put up, try Steve's three food tapping techniques. You know, oh, if you've got a craving, tell them to tap the top lip like several times. There was something else about tapping. They're all bollocks. You just made them up. But the fact is, it's a pattern interrupt. It's distracting the conscious mind from what it was thinking about. That can just be long enough for the person to then suddenly snap back and go, actually no. All of these things are adaptable with a bit of common sense to any, just about your phraseology you attach to it, whether it's a case of when you twang it, you feel calm, relaxed, like you would do on the sunny Spanish beach or in Barbados or wherever they've written down, which obviously would be more relevant wording for like anxiety situations, or whether it's a case of you twang it just before you go on stage and you get an inner sense of calm and kind of a little warm glow inside, and a sense of excitement and joy at the idea that you're now able to walk out in front of that audience. And a bit of thinking, everything's adaptable, everything's fluid. You don't need to learn one technique for that, one technique for this, one technique for that. All of the techniques, with a bit of thought, can be used for pretty much everything. But it's nice to know, or create a few of your own, purely so you don't get bored shitless doing the same thing every time, which is the only negative part of the complete mind therapy structure, you'll see later, is that yes, it works wonderfully well, and there are sound physiological and physical reasons behind why it works wonderfully well. For example, taking 20 minutes to, I won't do it right now, I'm just giving you a kind of bit of an insight before we do it properly later. They're laid down and they've got their eyes closed, obviously, in the room's dead warm, it's dim, and all those other things are in place that we talked about, the winky wanky music. And I will tell them to start concentrating on their feet, and what they're to do is to tense up all the muscles in their feet, really physically, scrunch up the toes and everything. And then on the count of 3, when I click my fingers like this, it's going to be a sign and a signal to physically just relax your feet, unscrunch your toes, and in your mind's eye, it's almost as if when I click my fingers and you physically release, it's almost as if in your mind's eye, all those muscle groups are represented like pieces of rope tied together as knots, representing all the stresses, tensions, worries, fears and apprehensions of days, weeks, months and years gone by. And when I click my fingers and physically relax that muscle group, so in turn it'll be a sign and a signal that in your mind's eye you can see those knots untying, they're becoming separate pieces of rope, so loose, so limp, so relaxed, so heavy and so tired with every breath that you take, every noise that you hear, and every word that I, and so on. And then we move up to the ankles, the lower leg area, tell them to physically tense them, release them, the knees, the upper leg area, the gut area, the chest, shoulders, arms, elbows, down to the fingertips, neck, and then finally, face, you know, like grimace. And now release it. There's several things going on. One, you've got your winky wanky, the deep puke out of the head, and you feel them having these ridiculous voice tones, which there is no need to do these ridiculous voice tones. It works without, to a degree. But like I said yesterday, if you go with the expectations that the majority of people have, or the preconceived ideas, are fulfilled. And I'm sorry, but when you see films or bits in television dramas, it always is it's like you're sinking down into this chair. And it is the ridiculous voice tone going down when they're relaxing. But then obviously when it's something more upbeat, and now you've got that sense of energy inside, and it's winky, there's no need for it really, but it does actually, I find, help. It's cycling. Doing the voices helps the body language, and you think, well, what's the point in the body language, because their eyes are closed. But doing the body language also then helps the voice continue, and it makes it more, it's not weird, but I want to use the word weird. It's more in with what's in the face, it's more like it's been done for a reason. Because if they try to rationalise it, why you're suddenly altering your voice tones in that, consciously they could start thinking, well, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Well, if they get fixated on that one idea of why the hell's that happening, arguably fixation of attention onto one thing to the exclusion of everything else, then means that you can get past the critical faculty, and arguably you're talking directly to the unconscious, subconscious mind, which by any other name is what people call hypnosis. So, there's that element arguably going on. The other element is, most people are not aware of how much tension they hold in their body, or are not holding in the body, until you draw attention to it and tell them to tense something up. But when they tense it up, that's the moment they become aware of it. So when they screw up the toes and tense up the feet, then they become aware of that tension. Some of that tension was already there. Obviously it's been amplified by screwing up the toes, but some of it was there, but nonetheless, they become aware of it once they've screwed up the toes, so they feel, yeah, there's a load of tension there. So when they uncurl their toes, it does feel a sense of relief, genuine physical relief. And it might be, it's possible for some people, that what they end up with at that point is identical to what it was before this curled up the toes, but they won't consciously know that because they weren't consciously aware of it prior to you drawing their attention to it. So, it doesn't matter if they're not suddenly more physically relaxed than they were, because they will only become aware of it when you've got them to curl up the toes, and then when they release them, then they feel that there is a definite time. If you do it yourself, you tense them up and you let them keep them tense for a good 30 seconds while you're waffling or whatever, so that when you release them, they feel a genuine physical difference, which you know that they're going to feel, so therefore you can confidently say, notice how much better that feels. It just becomes so limp, so loose, so relaxed, so heavy, and so tired, and whatever else, waffle on. And this is the same with all the muscle groups in the body. You tense your fist and let them go. The point is you should do this more and more, given the fact they're also in a warm room, and that it's dim, and you're doing all these crazy voice tones, this must be happening for a reason. The only way to rationalise it consciously is you're doing this to perceived authority figure because it works. So that also amplifies the suggestion element. Your words tie in with their physical things because you did convince us beforehand where you said something, perhaps like the eyes follow the thought, and they thought about it, it became reality. They're now at a point already when you get to hear that when you say things, they think and they become reality. So why shouldn't, when they imagine knots untying, their body feel more relaxed? The truth is the body's going to feel more relaxed anyway. It's just that because we know that, we tied the two in together. So it's further compounding the idea that when we say stuff, they imagine it, it becomes reality. So when we get onto the therapy bit, you will do this or you won't do that. The rationalisation process that probably most people have inwardly, they'll have given up by that point because it's happened too many times now that he or she said something, I've thought it, I physically felt something. So that's another good reason why we do a good, and it takes a good 15 to 20 minutes, the whole induction process from start to finish. Because once they've gone through the entire body, I then go through several deepenings, which I will talk about later. I don't believe there is actually different depths of trance. I believe there's only 2 states of hypnosis, if we use the term hypnosis. On stage, there's 2 states. State 1, uncooperative. State 2, cooperative. They do what you tell them when you tell them to. In therapy, there's only 2 states. They believe they're hypnotised or they don't. And if they believe that they are, then arguably they are. And that doesn't matter really whether you just told them to close their eyes and keep them closed, or whether you've taken 20 minutes about it. But as I say, obviously we've got that hour to fill. So that it seems like they're getting something for the money, as it were. I mean, they are, ultimately, if they get the result, they are, but it just makes it more... I think it avoids situations of cognitive dissonance kicking in after the event of, I paid all that money and it was only... Yes, you can cure somebody in a matter of a few minutes, but I think, genuinely believe that if you've taken anything less than about an hour, no offence to people that do, and then you're getting results, but I genuinely believe there is more chance down the line of secondary gain or relapse occurring, whether it's a matter of days, weeks or months down the line, because at some point all it takes is somebody, even if it's months later, to start going, you know what, it only took that long, that's weird, because I know somebody, because generally it is about an hour structure. And generally, if you see interviews on TV, yeah, there's the odd exception. And you'll get certain television live coaches going, yeah, we can sort them out backstage in less than 15 minutes. But truth be known, when they get pinned down, 9 times out of 10, they end up going, well, we're going to have to do a bit more work with her afterwards. Yeah, of course they are, because if you go book a session with these certain people, they actually see you for 4 hours. Now, admittedly, 2 hours of that is winky wankiness looking round their house. We're playing the celebrity card. But the fact is, they're not doing, in the real world, they're not doing for the 2 grand plus VAT. They are not just seeing people for 15 minutes like they are doing backstage on TV. It's a totally different dynamic. And in truth, most of the time afterwards, they are seeing the people and giving a proper session that never gets broadcast. They've just done enough to look like there's a result for television, but then they're doing the real work afterwards, because otherwise it would come undone. It's because of that problematic bit of it. Yes, we looked yesterday, and if you rationalise it, and you go through it, and you took the time to explain it in major depth, they might get the logic. But yes, if it can be caused that quickly, the problem, it can be undone that quickly. But because deep down, the person, albeit perhaps unconsciously, has realised, yeah, I could really sort this out myself, but then there's that self-blame, shame, guilt, regret, frustration, anger, resentment for not being done it sooner. If the idea it could have been dealt with in 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes, it's pushed too much by someone else. What? That's all it took. And I know it sounds daft, an hour's only like just a bit over double that, but an hour has got this conditioned, in our, certainly in England, has got this social conditioning of you book solicitors, you book lawyers, you book surgeons that are private, doctors that are private, and you pay by the hour or part thereof. It also is that massively large fact that just by spending that time with them, whatever crap you do to fill up the time, it's the fact that you are spending that time with them. That most people don't get that level of personal one-to-one. It's about them in their everyday life. That in itself, let alone any other techniques, that in itself can be largely, massively therapeutic. Also, by doing the physical relaxation, and tying it into the words, yes, arguably that's hypnosis, but more so it is genuine, it goes back to, well, it gets generally termed as Jacobson's progressive relaxation. which wasn't an induction process for hypnosis, it was just a case of tense the body, release it, go through whilst thinking about certain things. And it showed that there's kind of two extreme states. We talked yesterday about pain, negativity at one end, pleasure and positivity at the other, pain, pleasure. That could equally be labelled fear at one end, laughter at the other. Because fear produces adrenaline and cortisol and other chemicals like that, which if not used up in the body can start to cause organic illness and stuff. Because the body's programmed that's for running away from dinosaur days, but we don't have the dinosaurs to run away from. That maybe they are. The boss, if you've got a conventional job, can be the dinosaur in the modern age, but you don't have to run away in the same sense that you did back then. So it's got to be utilised, dissipated in some way, otherwise it can cause actually genuine illness. The other end of the scale is laughter. It's the direct opposite. It produces serotonin, dopamine, the body's natural cocaine, essentially. The feel-good chemicals. Hence, Patch Adams, the American doctor, if you get the film about his life, he realised that laughter released the good chemicals and it helped people with life-threatening illnesses to live longer, feel less pain and whatnot. So he stuck on the clown's nose and he went in and entertained the kids and stuff. It doesn't matter how you get there, but when you're aware that what ends that, you know that when people are attracting that fear, which, yes, it might be a phobia fear, but I mean, I'm using fear as a label. When they've got an issue, basically, it doesn't matter if that's an addiction, eating too much, when they're in that state of mind that they haven't taken control, so we'll call that that's bad, out of control over there, in control there. So when they're out of control in some fashion, whatever context that is, they will more than likely, naturally, not all the time, but at some point in their life, because there will be this conflict, certainly by the point of therapy there will be conflict, because when somebody realises or makes that decision that they genuinely, sincerely want to change, they become consciously aware of this, but then there is that whole thing of, well, I could do it for myself, albeit that might be unconsciously, but there's that conflict, internal conflict of, yeah, but then people will go, why didn't you do it sooner? And so that in itself will create stress, shall we say, in the individual, which is potentially causing negative chemical release, therefore potentially can lead, that's why genuine medical doctors would say that stress can cause organic, genuine physical illness. Now, I'm not sitting here and saying that with hypnosis we can cure physical illness, but I will say that if you can remove the stresses, the chances are that things don't have to get worse, and that possibly, if the person can produce enough of the good stuff and be relaxed and calm and happy, then there's every chance that, God knows what's capable. So, the actual 20-minute long induction process, most people never take that time to allow themselves to relax to that degree. And through the process of doing that, they'll be releasing the good chemicals, arguably. So arguably, and I'm no expert in body physiology, I haven't said a bloody word, physiology, but I do know that arguably that if this is cancelling out the stresses they might be having, they're going to feel some sense of feeling better. And when they feel it, whether it's got any basis in reality is irrelevant anyway, as we covered yesterday, but when they feel as though something is feeling different, more positive, better, then they themselves are arguably compounding the idea that you've worked the magic thing. Hence we said hypnosis exists only in the mind of the believer. So, yeah, as I said, so the good 20 minutes, it kills time, but it's got a genuine physical element. It links in with the verbal suggestions, so it further compounds the idea. You say things, they imagine them, becomes reality, which therefore arguably also further bypasses the critical faculties, so that when you come to giving them the, this is how your new life's going to be stuff, the actual therapy. I'm saying the actual therapy with the speech marks because arguably the therapy started before they even got there with the questionnaires and stuff, and the marketing, which we cover later. So arguably lots of the therapy is done before they even get there. But in terms of the stereotypical, the way we're supposed to look at it, induction, then therapy, the therapy bit then is less likely to meet resistance because they've been convinced, they feel a genuine physical, wow, this is good. Especially if the room's what they might have gone to sleep by then, you know, and more often than not they will have done, but as we covered yesterday, that can give them the magic moment and things can still arguably go in unconsciously. There's evidence to show it still goes in unconsciously. There's evidence to show that's complete and utter cobblers and it doesn't. I don't care which is right, because as long as that person in their own head believes something magical has taken place, then for them it has, because we effectively are modern day witch doctors. It's like voodoo even. So yeah, but I will cover that when we get to CMT. Now that I know Stu's reappeared in the room, leave your lights over there. We're going to start the therapy bit, that bit's coming after the morning break. We're going to start the marketing bit by covering, well, Stu's going to cover some tips. I will elaborate on these later, but this is a firm foundational thing. I'm also a great believer, aside from being lazy, well, you could call it being lazy, perhaps I'm a bit too flippant there, of not wanting to spend like a full session having to ask all certain questions to find out someone's representational system, when you can just say, it's almost as if you can taste, smell, see, feel and hear everything as 100% total reality. Well, so I'm equally lazy with marketing, but I'm proactive with marketing. It's just I want the maximum return for the minimum investment of my time and the minimum investment of my money. It's all well and good, you can do marketing and get tons of clients through your door. So let's say you were happy to see 20 clients a week, I'd sooner slit my fucking wrists. But, unless there were 20 at once in a group, different matter, then it's only taking 90 minutes of my time. But let's just say you did want to do 20 clients in a week, you charge them each £100, which I think is way too cheap, but nonetheless, for this example, that's £2 grand. You're on 100 grand a year, we'll let you know a couple of weeks off. Right. I guarantee you this much, that is more, there are probably only 5% of therapists in England who are earning 100 grand or above. And it's sad because there's such simple little things they could do, they could be making way more money. And by that I mean actually making profits that they pay tax on. I'm not saying that the turnover isn't 100 grand or above. There's people out who've got turnover is vanity, profit is sanity, as they say. Cash is king, but that's another story. But if you've spent out like 100 grand on telephone directory adverts, Google AdWords to be at the top, flipping Facebook advertising, if you've spent out 100 grand and you've only turned over 170 grand, you've only made 70 grand at the end of that. Whereas I guarantee you, done right, you can earn 100 grand relatively easy if you put the effort in. It doesn't happen automatically, you've got to do certain things. And for an investment of, looking at it, you know, in the Bible, the one about tithing, 10%. Give that away. Well, I don't believe in the giving away 10%. Not unless you're making massive obscene amounts of money, then yeah, do stuff for charities, positive karma, and not only, well, not just positive karma. If it's handled right, you get great publicity as well, and you get more work out of it. But at least 10% of your money that's coming in into marketing, but do it intelligently. You don't have to spend shitloads of money. And with that thought in mind, also, yeah, I need to say this before she comes on. If you're a jack of all trades, people expect things to be cheaper. It's the difference between a trained cabinet maker who makes fine furniture and the odd job man who might be able to do that, but also he offers to put your MFI furniture together, and he also offers to, you know, clear the garden, and all, offers shitloads of stuff. You expect to pay less. So never, ever, ever, and here, do what I say, not what I do. I have one website that looks like it breaks all the rules. And the only reason for that is because I can get away with it. And that sounds egotistical and arrogant, but that particular website, it wouldn't matter if it had a baboon's bottom on it having a shit. It would still convert certain clients to the only people who are going to find it who'd ever even consider booking the services through that website, the route they will found it, they'd make their mind up before they get there. That's different. If you start building a brand or an element of celebrity, there'll come a point where you're not doing as much marketing as you are just making sure it's easy for people who've already decided they want you. And that should be your mission as well, to carve out a reputation or a niche. But don't worry, it doesn't have to be one thing. That's where we're leading to. It doesn't have to be one thing. Yes, a niche means specialising something. And yes, I am saying, for example, rather than offering everything, you're better off going, right, I only do pain control or pain management. And your websites, your leaflets, your business cards, everything is relevant to that. Because then anyone who finds that sees you as the specialist. Immediately you're elevated to a higher level. Immediately they expect to pay more. Immediately they expect it to work better. It's massive, powerful placebo trigger. But just because you've got that one, doesn't mean you can't have an entirely different leaflet, entirely different business card, entirely different website, and that is where, no, I'm not doing, and that is where you're going to explain what you can do, and more importantly, how you can do it incredibly, I hate to use the word cheaply, because it sounds cheap and not good. So yeah, affordably, without having to pay 600, 700, 800 quid for an all singing, well dancing website. With that thought in mind, I'd like to welcome Stuart.
Thank you. Given the fact that Alex has just covered half of my talk.
No, I haven't.
I'll keep it short and sweet. Right, yes, niche. It's going to be a bit like Alex's chat. It's going to go all over the place. First of all, websites, niche. Yes, definitely it's the way to go. I'm being bold.
Well, he won't pick you up very well from the back of the room, in fairness, mate. So
fair enough.
There you go.
Thank you. Right, yeah, niche. It's the way to go. You'll have seen it with the likes of Steve, Alex, and so on. It's definitely important nowadays. Whether you want to niche in stop smoking, weight management, phobia control, pain control, that sort of thing. One website for one niche. Now that's the problem that then becomes an issue. You are looking at, as I said, to have a website built from scratch. You know, you can get them done cheaply, but you are looking for a professional website to be built around the £600 mark nowadays. Your website needs to be mobile friendly, completely mobile friendly. Because if it's not mobile friendly nowadays, I think the latest figures were 70% of people now search for things on the mobiles. Controllo is nodding, that must be right. Google will not list your site on a result if your website isn't mobile friendly, if you're searching on mobile. Okay? So if your site's not mobile friendly, you've lost 70% of your potential clients immediately. Not a good start. It also wants to be at the point where you can manage it yourself. I have had so many calls from people going, oh, the website designer's gone on holiday for a month and I need to update my website. Or they won't give me my domain name back. And it happens a lot. Certainly, late 90s, early 2000, it was rife in the industry. You did?
Just had the battle.
Right.
And I've just
Okay.
won the war.
Right. Take control of your own website.
Yes, I
Okay, it's got to be done. If you get a decent WordPress website, WordPress-based website, it can be mobile friendly. You can update it day or night from any computer that's got internet access anywhere in the world. You can even update it from mobile phone using the WordPress app now, if you've got a smartphone. Okay, you are in complete control. So, the issue is that if you go into niche, and we'll get on to things like domain names, etc. in a minute, if you go into niche, you want to niche in more than one area, it can get very expensive. So, the trick is, get yourself a unlimited hosting account. If you go to the notes that were on your chair this morning when you arrived, you will find that if you go to Elite Hypnosis websites, yes, it's an advert, yes, it's me, and you go /hosting, you'll find a banner at the bottom of the page. If you click on that banner at the bottom of the page, you can get unlimited hosting for basically as many sites as you want to host for about £100 a year. Okay? That's not just one website, that's as many as you want. Okay? But it gets better than that. If you use that link, you'll see there's a little code in the corner. It says save 40, I think it is. Double check on the link on the banner. I think it's something like save 40. If you click on that link, follow it through to the page with D9 hosting, and you type in that code, you will save 40% of your hosting for your first payment period. You can pay monthly, you can pay quarterly, you can pay yearly. I think they accept payments up to 3 years. So 40% of, let's say it's £300 for your 3 years, you can save 40% in one go. Not a bad deal, is it? Yeah, and that's for as many sites as you want to host. I will hold my hands up and I will tell you now that that link is an affiliate link, and I earn a few pennies off that, but that's because I managed to secure the deal for you in the first place. They also send me a key ring every time 10 people sign up. But they are an absolutely brilliant company. They're the ones I use, they're the ones Alex uses. All the top internet marketers in the world use D9 hosting now. They're affordable, they're reliable, that's the most important thing, and they're not going to try and screw you over. Okay? You can also buy your domain names through them, which means that you're in control of your domain names.
So who owns the domain name when you buy them?
Well, technically you rent them for a period of time. This is where it gets, we get a lot of people that have just started out in business going, I bought a domain name. And then a year later they're going, I've got to buy it again. Yes, you do. You rent it for a year. But it will be under your name, so you're in complete control if you buy it through D9, just like if you were to go through Namesco.
What's happened with this one is they
registered in their name.
Yeah.
Right.
But they didn't tell me you're leasing it in the beginning.
Yeah, you lease it per year.
Yeah, but they don't say that
No.
on the website, so that's illegal in itself.
Well, it's not.
It's a very, very grey area. I'm guessing that they basically have complete control of everything, and you pay a very set fee for everything from start to finish.
10 years to be there.
It is a nightmare. This is why, basically, the kit that I started setting up, that's the original reason for it. Because I was sick of people ringing me up going, I'm being held to ransom by my web designer, web hosting company, etc. So,
Most of them are unreliable, that's the problem. I can honestly say I've never been stressed in person, but these last 2 weeks, fighting day in, day out with that company who are absolute crap. Who is it? It's Cloud Piper, but it used to be ASP Hosting.
You want to be registering the domain in your name,
Yeah.
which means that under D9 they will not screw you over with the domain. Yeah. Apart from you are renting the domain name, you are in control completely. They're not going to sit around and go, no, you can't bring it because it's a premium domain name. There was a stage hypnotist, I won't mention any names, who had a very good domain name. And his web hosting company, and that's all they were. They weren't particularly designers or anything else, they just hosted his website, arranged the domain name for him years and years ago. He had it for the best part of 10, 15 years, I think. And eventually he came to me and went, "I need a new website designing. How come we can do that for you?" Designed the website. I said, "Right, now you transfer the domain name over to this host." And they went, "Oh no, that's ours. It's a premium one. If you want it, you can buy it off us." And they wanted £2,000 for it.
Just had the same problem.
Yeah. Funnily enough, there are ways and means of doing it. There are, if you go search, if anybody does get into that position, there are, letters on the internet that you can basically copy and paste that go basically, "I will see you in court. I've got proof all the way down the line that that's my domain name, that always has been, but you registered it on my behalf," and you can get it back. If you have any more problems, send me a message on Facebook.
Friday. I hope.
Yeah.
Talk about domain names. They cost you probably about £10 each nowadays. It's easy enough at £10 each to start buying lots and lots. As Alex will testify, I have many domain names. I have far too many because I come up with a new domain name in my head and I go searching at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. That's available. That make a nice website, and I buy it.
So you can buy it through
D9.
D9.
Yeah. And as I say, you get it for the year or 10. You can buy it for up to 10 years.
Yeah.
But the usual rule of thumb is buy it for the first year. Yeah, just buy it for 1 year at the beginning, see if you can do anything with it. If you're not, and you end up with half a dozen domain names that you haven't used in a year, when it comes to renewal, get rid of them. If obviously you are using it, it's worthwhile, then buy it for a 10-year period, get it out of the way. For £100 for a website, it's not bad. One of my pet hates. Apologies to anybody here that's already doing this. It is egocentric domain names, i.e. yournamehypnotherapist.com. Sorry, I hate it.
Unless you're Paul McKenna or Anthony Robbins, or someone of equal ilk, then that is actually what people are going to be expecting and looking for. But pretty much for 99% of people, no.
There is a caveat to that, however, we'll get to that in a minute. I want to ask if anybody's got your name No, I won't. I'm looking out and I've got a feeling that at least one person has.
Oh, I have, I'll tell you.
You have?
I've got my crowd, yeah.
Okay, don't do it. Well, yes.
Well, done it.
Right. Do it, but do it for a particular reason, which I'll explain in a minute. But it shouldn't be your main website. And it shouldn't be on your business card.
That's what when we
Yeah.
trained, that's what they
And
trained
my
us
name
to
is
do.
already with different organisations, so they would expect to see my, say I call myself something. That's what we were advised.
It's, and it's, yes, it's the sort of thing that probably these lovely business managers, where you start to get new business, come along and go,
Is
yeah,
this
you
something
go,
from a
do it this way.
organisation? Right, well, there's a reason why. People who run hypnotherapy organisations don't want you to actually be successful. They don't.
Yeah,
I never did it. But
The-
some
I
people
had to
did.
do it because of the counselling side.
Your domain names should be about the client, it should be about the solution, it should be about the problem, it should be all about them, and it shouldn't be about you. Now there is a caveat to that, as I said, and the caveat is keep it, because people will search for your name, hypnotherapist. All I would do with that is then redirect it, which you can do quite easily through control panels, depending on where you brought the domain name through. You can redirect it to an existing website that is more client friendly. Okay? It isn't about them to have your name, hypnotherapy or hypnotherapist.com. Hypnotherapy, not hypnotherapist.